I'd like to start with a simple, direct question, and I hope you'll understand in the interest of time, I'd love to get a yes or no answer. Although Mr. Moynihan already answered this question in the opening statement that he made, and he answered in the affirmative. And the question is simply, do you believe that capitalism is the best economic system for producing the most prosperity for the greatest number of people? Mr. Scharf?
Yes, I do.
Uh, Thank you. Mr. Solomon?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Fraser?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Diamond?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Mr. Gorman?
Yes, I do.
Great. And of course, obviously, I agree on this. I am concerned that sometimes rather than defending this principle of capitalism, some of you have embraced so-called stakeholder capitalism, which really is something different than true capitalism. And I would just ask you to reconsider this, because stakeholder capitalism is meant to diminish the importance of a company's obligation to shareholders relative to other stakeholders. And I think that's a contradiction of the fundamental aspect of capitalism. Let me say, I'm one of the reasons I'm concerned about this is because the implied criticism of capitalism inherent in stakeholder capitalism also lends credence to these ongoing attacks that we hear. So, for example, in March, our committee held a hearing entitled Wall Street versus Workers: How the Financial System Hurts Workers and Widens the Racial Wealth Gap. And we had a witness who argued to us, and I will quote, "Credit debt itself provides a channel through which wealth drains from marginalized communities towards more affluent entities. Its burdens are not equally distributed, which exacerbates the racialized and gendered wealth gap," end quote. So I'd like to ask each of you, but in the interest of time, I think I'll just go to Mr. Diamond if I could, and ask you to, I mean, is it your view that the credit that your institution provides drains wealth from marginalized communities and exacerbates the racialized and gendered wealth gap?
No, I think you've heard from all the CEOs here that we're making an enormous effort to try to get credit to marginalized, lower middle income, majority minorities, Black small businesses, women of color, et cetera. And we're doing a good job. We can always do more. We can acknowledge there are some problems that need to be fixed. And I think we're all trying to do it the right way. But it absolutely was not caused by Wall Street taking credit from those communities.
No, I mean, it seems to me, in fact, that access to credit is a necessary precondition for poor people to move up to the middle class, not the other way around. Let me move on to an issue that's really important in my state. As many of you probably know, Pennsylvania is now the second largest producer of natural gas among all 50 states. And I have heard directly from constituents in this field that they're finding it more difficult to finance their business as a result, they believe, of commitments that financial institutions have made to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Now, this is particularly ironic because, of course, as we all know, natural gas is the reason that the United States has outperformed most of the rest of the world in reducing CO2 emissions. But nevertheless, they believe that they're facing more difficulty getting finance than ever before. Also, no matter what one thinks about the eventual arrival of more widespread use of electric vehicles, the fact is piston-driven cars are going to be on the roads for quite a while. So we need a certain amount of oil. So let me start with Ms. Fraser. My understanding is that Citigroup is committed to ending all financing for thermal coal companies by 2030. And frankly, there might still be a need for some thermal coal after that date. But my real question for you is, have you established or do you plan to establish a similar policy prohibiting the financing of either oil or natural gas, aside from if the economics would dictate that you shouldn't provide the financing?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator Toomey. Our goal is to support our clients responsibly and help them transition to cleaner energy, create jobs in the future. This is going to require investing into new technologies and helping them develop so. what we're looking at doing is working with our clients in the transition and to support them in doing so, so that we can balance the evolution to cleaner energy.
I understand all that, and but that is separate from my question, which is, do you now or do you plan to have anytime soon a prohibition against financing the development of oil or natural gas?
We don't plan to have a prohibition against this. No, we plan to help our clients in the transition to the cleaner carbon technologies.
Okay. Thank you. I think I'm out of time.